Director General Menendez-Valdez, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Tá gailge gorí waithagat, gur maithagat don curas jaslam bheithan seo. As you said, we have a number of things in common. We both live in Dublin. The foundation is based in my constituency. If I tried to put it there now, I'm sure there'd be other things to be said. And we both speak more Irish than a lot of Irish people. So, welcome to the club. I want to congratulate the European Foundation for the improvement of living and working conditions on the occasion of this, your 5th forum. I'm delighted that the Foundation has organised this high-level event, bringing together social actors with academic experts in different fields for a timely discussion of key social policy issues. I also want to offer a very warm welcome to all our visitors, particularly those of you who are in Dublin for the first time. You're now part of an Irish institution called The Gathering, which is a year-long celebration of all things Irish, and it is one of the biggest tourist initiatives that we have ever staged. 2013 has ushered in a new phase in the European Union's drive for recovery, which is why this country chose to make stability, jobs and economic growth the theme of our presidency of the Council of the European Union in the first 6 months of this year. And your theme here today, social and employment policies for a fair and competitive Europe, is therefore particularly apt and indeed in harmony, as you have said, with the theme of our presidency. Despite the fledgling recovery that we have seen take hold here in Ireland, in many ways we are still dealing with the aftershocks of the financial crisis, for which a coherent and a socially just response is required from all member states. For that reason, the agreement which was reached at the European Council last week on a European Union budget for the next 7 years, and I know there are differing views about the size of the budget and its scope, but the fact that agreement was reached was an important step forward. There is, of course, a further stage that has to be completed in the European Union budget process, which is the agreement and consent of the European Parliament. That is something that we are now working with the European Parliament on. And once the budget is completed, it will do much to tackle many of the social and employment challenges that we are facing. It is a budget which supports growth-enhancing policies, not least education, research and innovation, demonstrated by the decision to allocate €125 billion to the area of competitiveness for growth and jobs. Reflecting the very different situation in which we now find ourselves, this represents an increase of more than 37% compared to the previous EU budget. It is a budget that recognises that certain regions have been hit particularly hard by the crisis and need dedicated support. Specific allocations have been made to get such regions back on track for economic growth, including indeed a provision of 100 million for our own border, Midland and Western region. The economic and social effects of the crisis have also resulted in a level of unemployment across the European Union which is quite simply unacceptable. As Eurofound has estimated, the economic cost of not integrating young people in particular into the labour market is close to €150 billion per year, or 1.2% of European Union GDP. For that reason, I particularly welcome the decision to earmark €6 billion within this budget for a youth employment initiative. The Irish Presidency will now drive that work forward, and I am confident that we will be able to reach agreement on a European Union-wide youth guarantee by the end of this month. Such a youth guarantee aims to ensure that within 4 months of leaving school or losing a job, all young people up to the age of 25 will receive quality offer of employment, continued education, apprenticeship or traineeship. EU funding is also used to help workers adapt in response to global trends which are changing the nature of our economics. But the European Union can and must work harder to respond to the common problems that we face. The crisis has made it all the more clearer that we are stronger when we work together as 27. And that is why the Irish Presidency is working to deepen the single market and to make sure that it reflects the way citizens now live their lives. In particular, we have prioritised legislation on data protection, cybersecurity and e-signatures, which will help to build confidence in the digital single market, and measures to improve labour mobility within the Union, such as the Professional Qualifications Directive and pensions portability. We have also placed particular emphasis on advancing the external trade agenda. The Commission has estimated that completion of a number of free trade agreements with strategic partners could see European Union GDP grow by more than 2%. A deal with the United States would represent a huge part of that, and the enormous potential of a European Union-United States trade deal was identified by President Obama in his State of the Union address on Tuesday. I believe that there is now sufficient political will on both sides of the Atlantic to push forward and to see those negotiations on a comprehensive trade and investment agreement launched before the end of the Irish Presidency in the middle of this year. Of course, all of this is aimed at improving the lives of our citizens. There is no sense in seeking growth that does not lift the circumstances of our peoples. So in everything that we do, we must keep the goal of social justice and cohesion to the fore, and in particular, we must always assert the values on which the European Union has been founded. Our period as presidency coincides too with the beginning of a 3-year term on the United Nations Human Rights Council. Election to the Council was a long-standing ambition for Ireland, and it is an endorsement, I would hope, of the esteem in which Ireland is held on human rights issues. Membership of the Council is, of course, a great responsibility. It is a significant opportunity to advance a meaningful discourse on human rights at the international level. As a member of the Human Rights Council, we will staunchly defend the universality of human rights, and we will speak out on behalf of the vulnerable and the marginalised. We will work to defend and buttress freedom of religion or belief for all, and speak up for those who face discrimination and abuses because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Other important issues include the empowerment of women and girls, defending freedom of expression both online and offline, and fostering an enabling environment for civil society so that all can make their voices heard. And this brings me to Ireland's close relationship with the International Labour Organization, and I'm delighted that the ILO Director General, Guy Ryder, will join you for your discussions tomorrow. Ireland has been a long-standing supporter of the International Labour Organization, and in particular its role in addressing poverty and vulnerability in developing countries. We have provided support for the ILO through the Irish Aid Programme since 2001, and the focus of our partnership is on giving the most vulnerable people in developing countries an opportunity for employment and income which will give them and their children a better and a decent life. The programme places a strong emphasis on gender equality, supporting women with disabilities and protecting children. Ireland warmly welcomes the important cooperation between the ILO and Eurofound and the vital tripartite approach of both organisations that seek to involve employers, workers and public authorities in the pursuit of better living and working conditions at EU and global levels. As no doubt you are all aware, the European Foundation was established in May 1975 by the European Council to help improve living and working conditions across Europe. The presence of Eurofound one of the first ever EU agencies established by the Council in 1975, reflects to this day the commitment of Ireland and the EU from the outside. As Ireland celebrates 40 years of membership and takes on the presidency role for the 7th time, its place at the heart of the European project comes into focus once more. The Irish presidency will convene a tripartite social summit in 4 weeks' time on the 14th of March. We have chosen as our theme the challenges of the recovery and the renewal of the social dimension of the European Union. The tripartite social summit can help the European social partners to get their voices heard at the highest level of EU decision-making. The European Union will never achieve its ambitious economic and employment objectives without the active participation of workers and employers. Ireland's first European Commissioner, the late Dr. Patrick Hillery, who was later to be President of Ireland, was responsible for implementing the European Community's first social action programme. The three main objectives of the original social action programme were the attainment of full and better employment, the improvement of living and working conditions, and increased involvement of management and labour in economic and social decisions. I would suggest that this template is just as relevant today as it was in 1974. It is very much in tune with the mission of the Foundation and with the strategic framework that it has set for the next 4 years from 2013 to 2016. That is why the Foundation's mission and its capacity to provide a toolkit for the European institutions, the Member States and civil society is crucial. It ensures that the key actors in European social policy are equipped to make more informed decisions about managing the processes of change. That mission could not be more relevant than now. This is a time when the European approach to the social market economy, which seeks to combine free markets with social solidarity and sensible regulation, is facing its biggest challenge yet. Reinforcing economic governance is essential to ensure trust in the effectiveness of European and national policies, to fulfil vital public functions, to protect citizens from the effects of unsound economic and fiscal policies, and to ensure a high level of growth and social welfare. The Foundation's strength is its capacity to provide timely, quality and relevant information to the EU institutions, and especially the European Commission, as well as to national governments and the social partners at EU and national level. Eurofound's activities cover a broad remit, touching on employment developments, quality of life issues, working conditions, trends and analysis. These are the areas which impact most directly on the lives of Europe's citizens today. Never before has the comparative work of Eurofound surveys, the European Quality of Life Survey, the European Working Conditions Survey and the European Company Survey had more relevance as the European Union grapples with the challenges it faces in the economic and social fields. The Foundation regularly produces publications or resources that inform decision-making between institutions at EU and national level. The groundbreaking study of the current situation of young people in Europe, focusing specifically on those who are not in employment, education or training, is a recent example. Last week, the informal Council of Employment and Social Policy Ministers meeting held here in Dublin Castle and chaired by my colleague Minister Joan Burton was given a presentation based on Eurofound's assessment of the economic and social consequences of their disengagement from the labour market and education. I want to express my appreciation to Commissioner Laszlo Andor, who has supported using the Eurofound's conference centre facilities in Loughlinstown for a series of events taking place during the course of the presidency. Eurofound will also contribute to several EU presidency conferences in areas related to the social policy debate. I hope that this kind of collaboration, building upon the core areas of the Foundation's expertise in the development of social and work-related policies, can provide a model for subsequent presidencies. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be with you this evening.